Good evening, everyone, and welcome back. I am your host, the Crazy Short Hairy Dude, and we are continuing in our series of Bram Stoker's Dracula. We're on the last part. I double checked the last part of Jonathan Harker's journal for now, and then we'll get into some of the other characters, and um, yeah, it just kind of branches out from here. So, uh, So last time, we Harker discovered. Well, he tried to make an escape attempt, but it didn't really work. Count called, uh, kind of played his hand a little bit and called up the wolves so that Harker couldn't escape. Um, and then we learned again that, um, yeah, the following night it would be Harker's. Um, it would be Harker's last night, and the brides would come after him. So anyway, enough rambling. Let's get into this. 30th June morning. These may be the last words I ever write in this diary. I slept till just before the dawn, and when I woke, threw myself on my knees, for I determined that if death came, he should find me ready. At last I felt that subtle change in the air, and knew that the morning had come. Then came the welcome cock crow, and I felt that I was safe. You know, instead of rooster crow, Old English. Well, not Old English, but because that's a whole other language, but older English than what we use now. With a glad heart, I opened my door and ran down to the hall. I had seen that the door was unlocked, and now escape was before me. With hands that trembled with eagerness, I unhooked the chains and drew back the massive bolts. But the door would not move. Despair seized me. I pulled and pulled at the door, and shook it, till, massive as it was, it rattled in its casement. I could see the bolt shot. It had been locked after I left the Count. Then a wild desire took me to obtain the key at any risk, and I determined then and there to scale the wall again and gain the Count's room. He might kill me, but death now seemed the happier choice of evils. Without a pause, I rushed up to the east window, and scrambled down the wall as before, into the Count's room. It was empty, but that was as I expected. I could not see a key anywhere, but the heap of gold remained. I went through the door in the corner and down the winding stair and along the dark passage to the old chapel. I knew now well enough where to find the monster I sought. The great box was in the same place, close against the wall, but the lid was laid on it, not fastened down, but with the nails ready in their places to be hammered home. I knew I must reach the body for the key. So I raised the lid and laid it back against the wall, and then I saw something which filled my very soul with horror. There lay the Count, but looking as if his youth had been half renewed, for the white hair and moustache had changed to dark iron grey. The cheeks were fuller, and the white skin seemed ruby red underneath. The mouth was redder than ever, for on the lips were gouts of fresh blood, which trickled from the corners of the mouth, and ran over the chin and neck. Even the deep, burning eyes seemed set amongst swollen flesh, for the lids and pouches underneath were bloated. It seemed as if the whole awful creature was simply gorged with blood. He lay like a filthy leech exhausted with his repletion. I shuddered as I bent over to touch him, and every sense in me revolted at the contact. But I had to search, or I was lost. The coming night might see my own body a banquet in a similar way to those horrid three. I felt all over the body, but no sign could I find of the key. Then I stopped and looked at the Count. There was a mocking smile on the bloated face, which seemed to drive me mad. This was the being I was helping to transfer to London, where perhaps for centuries he, yeah, sorry, where perhaps for centuries to come he might, amongst its teeming millions, satiate his lust for blood and create a new and ever widening circle of semi-demons to batten on the helpless. I swear I have read this before, but it's been a little while. The very thought drove me mad. A terrible desire came upon me to rid the world of such a monster. There was no lethal weapon at hand, but I seized a shovel which the workmen had been using to fill the cases, and lifting it high, struck with the edge downward at the hateful face. But as I did so, the head turned, and the eyes fell full upon me, with all their blaze of basilisk horror. The sight seemed to paralyze me, and the shovel turned in my hand and glanced from the face, merely making a deep gash above the forehead. The shovel fell from my hand across the box, and as I pulled it away, the flange of the blade caught the edge of the lid, which fell over again, and hid the horrid thing from my sight. The last glimpse I had was of the bloated face, blood-stained and fixed with a grin of malice, which would have held its own in the nethermost hell. That's kind of creepy. So, he's getting ready to bring the shovel down on Dracula, and then, Dracula's kind of laying there, and then suddenly just turns. That's creepy. Just turns and looks at him. Those piercing red eyes, and then just look of menace on his face. That's creepy. And again, I have not seen that particular scene in any film version that I have watched of this story. So, let's keep going. I thought and thought what should be my next move, but my brain seemed on fire, and I waited with a despairing feeling growing over me. As I waited, I heard in the distance a gypsy song sung by merry voices coming closer, and through their song the rolling of heavy wheels and the cracking of whips. The Zagani and the Slovaks of whom the Count had spoken were coming. With the last look and at the box, with the last look around and at the box which contained the vile body, I ran from the place and gained the Count's room, determined to rush out at the moment the door should be opened. With strained ears, I listened and heard downstairs the grinding of the key in the great lock. Sorry, hair in my mouth. And the falling back of the heavy door. There must have been some other means of entry, or someone had a key for one of I can't read apparently. Or someone had a key for one of the locked doors. Then there came the sound of many feet, tramping and dying away in some passage, which sent up a clanging echo. I turned to run down again towards the vault, where I might find the new entrance. But at the moment there seemed to come a violent puff of wind, and the door to the winding stair blew to a shock that set the dust from the lintels flying. When I ran to push it open, I found that it was hopelessly fast. I was again a prisoner, and the net of doom was closing round me more closely. As I write, there is in the passage below a sound of many tramping feet, and the crash of weights being set down heavily, doubtless the boxes with their freight of earth. There is a sound of hammering. It is the box being nailed down. Now I can hear the heavy feet tramping again along the hall, with many other idle feet coming behind them. The door is shut, and the chains rattle. There is a grinding of the key in the lock. I can hear the key withdraw. Then another door opens and shuts. I hear the creaking of lock and bolt. Hark! In the courtyard and down the rocky way the roll of heavy wheels, the cracking of whips, and the chorus of the Sigani as they pass into the distance. I am alone in the castle with those awful women. Pah! Mina is a woman, and there is naught in common. They are devils of the pit. I shall not remain alone with them. I shall try to scale the castle farther than I have yet attempted. I shall take some of the gold with me, lest I want it later. I may find a way from this dreadful place. And then away for home, away to the quickest and nearest train, away from this cursed spot, from this cursed land, where the devil and his children still walk with earthly feet. At least God's mercy is better than that of these monsters, and the precipice is steep and high. At its foot, a man may sleep as a man. Goodbye, all. Mina. And that's the end of Jonathan Harker's journal for now. And uh, we're going to transition from Transylvania into to England over the next several parts here. And we'll get into some letters and some more journal entries from other people. And yeah, it gets really interesting. So there's a lot more story to cover. So yeah. We still got a ways to go and several months to do it. So yeah, we'll keep going with this. Hope everybody's well. Hope everybody's happy. We got some more stuff coming up. Don't forget this weekend, 4th of July. Of course, everybody loves the 4th of July because got fireworks and it's holiday. And it's in the middle of summer, so there's usually parties and swimming and all the fun things, barbecues. But this is a particularly special one. It is this country's 250th birthday. 250 years since our founding fathers wrote the Declaration of Independence and signed it and all that. So, yeah, crazy to think about. And there's been a lot that has happened in those 250 years. A lot of changes, some good, some not so good. But yeah, overall, we still remain the best country, the best country in the world. Um, don't believe me? Go visit some of the other ones sometime. Get a passport and go travel, and yeah, you'll see. Um, are we perfect? No, but this is still the greatest country on earth. So, uh, but I'll talk more about the United States and America in general, and we'll get more patriotic on the 4th. So, stay tuned for that. And we got some other things coming up that we're going to be talking about, and we'll be learning about some historical figures. We'll talk some more about some movies, maybe some video games and stuff. Yeah, a lot of exciting things coming up for this next year of this YouTube channel, because July 4th is also the 1 year anniversary of this channel starting. So that's exciting too. And until next time, stay well, love your families and your friends, and God bless. Remember, Jesus loves you so, so much. So, anyway, see you next time. Bye.